The one that comes to memory.
Which one was that?
I don't know. We were at the old house on Hearn, and I called you it. You were like you weren't living with us anymore. And you went off on me.
Yeah. Were you in your bedroom?
Yeah.
And I was like, I screamed at you.
Yeah.
And then like slammed your door or something like that. I was like, one, how does she even know that word? Because at that point, you weren't even in high school, I don't think.
No, I was in high school.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a teenager. But yeah.
Yeah.
I'd probably just learned that word, let's be
like,
honest.
I'm going to try this on for size.
Yeah.
C word.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've never even used that word. How dare you? It's all over the internet now.
Yeah.
It's like rampant. Everyone's using it all of a sudden. Like,
listen, it's kind of a fun word.
I had to your mom went to the ER for something and we like all went to go be with her.
Yeah.
And
when she was having her heart stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And Jansen and I drove together, obviously. And he was like, I'm going to go in, like, figure out where they are at. And it's, like, late at night. He's like, you go park the car and then come meet us. I'm like, okay, hospital I've never been to. I don't know where I'm going.
No.
And I started to pull into a parking garage that ended up being the employees' parking garage. And so I was like, oh, let me back out, whatever.
Yeah.
And an employee
at the hospital
called me that,
just because you were getting
because I was in the wrong spot. And so I was like, oh, excuse me, like, sorry. And they're like, you. And I was like, what?
It is jarring when someone just says it at you, especially like I usually say it in jest, like jokingly. I'm never going to call someone that, like.
An effing C is what I was called. And I was like,
that's awful.
I'm in the emergency room.
Yeah, you don't know what's
Emotions
happening.
are heightened.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to find a parking spot.
Out of all the places to have some grace, a hospital should be one of them. Like, you have no idea what someone coming into a hospital is dealing with. It most of the time is not a happy thing.
Yeah.
So,
and it was dark and I couldn't see the sign that said employee. So I was like, I needed to go to the other entrance. My bad. Like,
you're a human. You made a mistake.
Yeah.
About driving. Calm down. You have one piece of hair that has like the gap. It's like, yeah.
I hate my hair right now.
It's okay. You're beautiful.
You are beautiful.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think because that word has just been used against me in such hateful ways, especially recently in my DMs. That it always hurts. And I just I laugh when I see comedy TikToks using it or whatever and just being like gay and funny. It's mostly gay people that use it, to be honest, that I see. And that's funny, but I don't think I could ever just flippantly use it and say
my favorite use of it recently was Chapel Roan at Coachella this summer when she said, I'm your favorite artist. I'm your dream girl's dream girl. And I'm going to serve exactly what you are. C word. And she was saying it directly into the live stream camera.
With glitter all over her face.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I think that's honestly probably where it stemmed from in the last summer of everyone using it.
Yeah.
Because she used it in just a really powerful way.
Yeah.
But I can't do it. That's because I'm not Chapel Roan.
No.
What a gal. Hey, how you doing? Welcome to Blood and Contracts. You know, just a little light C word talk for you.
Last episode of Pod Weekend.
Keep going.
Keep going.
Keep going.
Break a leg.
Last episode of the weekend, y'all, we powered through. You may have noticed that we filmed the last 6 episodes in one pod weekend because we're kind of getting ahead of the game. We're getting towards the end of season 2 filming. We only have 2 weekends after this, which is so wild.
Yeah. This is episode 42.
And our next 2 pod weekends have other things going on during them too. So trying to be prepared.
Pack it in. Yeah, I'm proud of us.
Yeah.
Today, though, is Book Clurb. If you knew, we've been reading V.E. Schwab's The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I brought both my Kindle and my signed copy. I was also wrong. This was not from a publishing company. It was from Waterstones, which is like the Barnes & Noble of the UK. So it was like in partnership with Waterstones. And Waterstones is known for making like really special edition books like this. And this was like one of the most beautiful ones I had seen, so much so that I was like, I need this from the UK right now.
Is V.E. Schwab English?
No.
Oh.
I don't remember where she's from, but she is an American.
Oh.
If I remember correctly.
Interesting.
Maybe it says on the back book. She does live in she started living in Edinburgh after this one hit the bestseller list to write her next book. But I'm pretty sure Nashville, France, and Edinburgh. She lives between Nashville, France, and Edinburgh.
What a life.
What a life.
Wow. Must be rough.
You Googling over there, Kiri?
Yeah, but it
wasn't popping up.
No.
It's okay.
You got to it faster. So.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, do you want to give it the brief description of the book that we're about to
just
spoil the crap out of?
Yeah, no, that's totally fine. I'll read the inside cover. It's super short. France, 1714. A desperate woman makes a desperate deal in the dark, a bargain to live forever, but be remembered by none. So begins the invisible life of Addie LaRue, shadow muse to artists throughout history, forgotten friend, confidant, and lover, slipping away with the morning light. Addie passes through lives desperate only to leave a trace of herself until the day she walks back into a small bookshop in Manhattan and meets Henry, who remembers her. After 300 years, Addie's life is restarting, but the devil never plays fair. As Henry and Addie's lives start to intertwine, they must face the consequences of the decisions they've made and the prices to be paid. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue is a dazzling adventure across centuries and continents, across history and art, about a young woman learning how far she will go to leave her mark on the world. Ugh. And Kelly just finished like
20 minutes ago.
30 minutes ago. Initial thoughts?
I mean, I loved it. I loved every minute of it. It was so beautifully written.
I have a couple passages highlighted.
The ending, I'm still
reeling,
processing, deciding if I liked the ending.
Yeah.
It was a very Bailey pick ending.
You're welcome.
AKA realistic and not perfectly tied up with a bow.
Yeah.
Nope.
But
let's kind of do what we did with the last book. Mm-hmm. Any parts that shocked you, you were thrown by, that you were just like, wow, someone wrote this. This is amazing.
You go ahead.
Thought it was all really good. I don't know. I don't have an answer.
Well, I mean, let's talk about the ending then, because I do think that's the most surprising aspect. Did you predict? Because most people can't predict how this book ends, and that's why I love it.
I predicted that Henry didn't really have forever. I did think of that before it was revealed.
Yeah.
Because for those who didn't read in the book, she is at this point 300 years old, but still in her 23-year-old body.
Yeah.
And meets a person who can finally remember who she is, even when she's walked out of the room. And it's only because he is also
cursed,
under a curse, because he also sold his soul.
Yeah.
And he tells her he asked for a lifetime. And I just kind of knew, I was like, but what is a lifetime to you?
Well, and he just says it so flippantly too, and so fast. He's just like, oh yeah, I asked for a lifetime. Like, did you though? And she was sus about it too. She's like, there ain't no way.
Yeah. And really, he only got a year.
Yeah. I didn't, until they spelled it out a little bit more, didn't realize that he would only have a year. But in my mind, I thought he would still age. And so she would still be in this young body, and he would get old and just die of natural causes or something but I did start to question, before the reveal, I was questioning of okay, are they just gonna run away together? Because he can't keep introducing her to his friends.
No,
that's gonna get weird and old at some point. That every time she meets them is the first time they've met her.
Yeah.
And so eventually I thought he would fake his own death or something and
then just run away.
And then just run away with her.
So then you guys think that they were destined for each other?
I don't think she was really destined for anyone.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I disagree. I think she's for the devil. And I kind of rooted for their relationship the entire book for some reason the first time that I read it. And then the reread, I was like, I wonder what will change in my mind. And the thing that changed was me being mad at Addie over her attitude with Luke the entire book. Both her and Henry have this attitude about them that's just like, why do you have to be so mean to me? I didn't ask for this, but I'm like, you literally asked for it. You just didn't specify enough to make sure that the terms of the agreement were buttoned up.
Yeah.
And yes, Luke used strenuous, stressful times in their lives to his advantage, but he's the devil. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hated how every time she saw Luke for the majority of the book, she would say, he can make it so much easier for me. Why doesn't he make it easier for me? I'm like, that's the point.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be easy. There has to be some kind of negative stipulation to the agreement. Otherwise, not everybody would do this. Not everybody would make a deal with the devil. And I just didn't understand her expectations of him that it would get better. No. But by the end of the book this time around, I just feel like they're destined for each other, and she's over time would grow into it, I guess, because I don't think any man would really be good enough for her or like enough for her.
No human.
Yeah. And Henry felt like how Luke was describing him. He's just a stopping point. Like, this isn't a forever thing. And I felt that too when you start to see the disagreements between her and Henry, and like the friend and community aspect, and like how hard it is, and she's trying to tell him how hard it is. He just doesn't want to believe it. That for me makes him not the best partner pick for her, because he wasn't willing to change enough about his life to make their lives together make sense. It just felt like a temporary stopgap for them.
Yeah.
And the fact that from the beginning he's lying to her.
Yes.
And from the beginning of knowing her is not telling her that this isn't forever.
Yep. Their whole relationship was based on lies.
Yeah.
From the get-go. And that didn't shift the entire time, to the point where she's saving him and had to lie to him to make sure that she could save him.
Yeah.
And she always knew that it would kind of probably come to that.
I almost felt bad for Luke in the end.
Yeah.
Because she only goes to him to save Henry.
Yeah.
And it feels like, well, he's not a consolation prize. Or, he's not. If anything, he's the only person who has given you this incredible life that you've had. Yeah. Yes, it's been hard. Yes, he also is not, perfect. He's not human. He is literally the darkness itself.
Right.
But he also gave you what you asked for, which was to be free.
Yep.
You've had 300 years. You've gotten to experience every turn of every century and advancement in technology and advancement in art and the world.
Yeah.
Without going through real pain.
Right.
I mean, she experienced, that was the one part I did not enjoy being described, was how her blisters would
I know.
instantly heal, and then she would get blisters again the next day because her skin can't build callus. And I was like,
brutal. Yeah, brutal.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, I kind of like that she had to go through decades of learning her curse and learning the limitations of that curse. That was a really interesting aspect that she just doesn't even know until she tries something new.
She describes it as, learning the edges of the curse.
Yes. And that there are no true loopholes. I kind of loved that Luke knew everything, and that she naively was expecting to like sneak one past him, but you can't sneak one past Luke.
No, he's like, I gave him to you. Yeah. You're welcome.
Yeah. Because he wanted her to feel the pain of finally getting what you think you wanted this whole time. I can still take it away from you. Like, it's not going to last. So like, he met his match in her, I think too. And so he was trying anything he could to break her, so she would finally give in and say, okay, like, hey, I'm done.
Yeah. I love that you said it that way too, because it's true. He kept pushing her to a limit to see if she would actually break. And then she continuously doesn't break, continuously finds not a way to outwit him or outbest him or whatever, but just to like accept the terms of those limitations and like keep going. And it doesn't make him mad. That's the part where I feel like he truly does love her and does see a future with this new being that he's created, because even up until the end, he's wrapping his arms around her in love. He tortures her in a way that makes her get better and become the thing that he thinks that she can become. She just thinks that it's only in her power to do so, when I think it really is. You grow based on the community that you create around you. It's never about what you in yourself can do. It's about how you are empowered by the people that love you and how you do life with them. And I loved that aspect of the end too, because I think she does love him because she stays. She has every opportunity to just do what she's been doing for the last 300 years and like peace out. But instead she does life with him and is always in contact with him and is in relationship with him. I also loved that there is this odd fog gray area of like what happens next. I love that about novels. I have no expectations of this ever getting a sequel, and I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah. Well, I love what she says in like the very last page. I'm trying to get to it.
You're good. I have some highlights too.
Sorry.
You're fine. Do you want me to read one of my faves?
No, I found it. Sorry. She says, Addie dreams of telling Luke these things just to see the shade. It turns his eyes, the green of being bested, the green of forfeit and losing. But if he's taught her anything, it's patience. So Addie says nothing of the new game, the new rules, the new battle that's begun. She only smiles, sets the book back on its shelf, and follows him out into the dark.
Follows him out.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, she's always going to follow him out.
Yeah. She's going to keep playing the game.
But that's what's funny to me is like, I don't think he thinks it's a game. I think that's all in her head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she, at the end of the day, will always be human and he never will be. And she thinks that there's something to be bested when there really isn't.
But like he says at the end, like, you are not human anymore.
Yeah.
You have not been human for 300 years.
Totally.
I like that. How is that not clear to you?
Right.
You heal instantly.
Yeah.
You have not been sick or aged or died of all of the things you lived through,
like when she talks
plagues and wars.
The bodies.
But I was also gonna say when she talks about coming to America and like on the ship everyone was getting sick and she was like, I had to pretend like I was sick too because otherwise
they'd think she was a witch.
Yeah. You're a witch.
You're a witch.
I remember reading the part where during the plague in France when she's underneath the bodies and realizes that she's underneath the bodies and she has to crawl herself out. I was like, are you insane?
And that's when she loses the bird.
Yeah.
That her dad had carved. Yeah.
Here, most of the time when I highlight, and I've highlighted even more the second time through, I highlight it because V.E. Schwab's writing is just so good. It's so beautiful. And wordsmithy. I just love it. So here's a couple. This is from the beginning of the book. Adeline is 12, so she does what?
See, sometimes I accidentally highlight things on Kindle without meaning.
I think I need a little more. This is from the first time I read it, so I need a little more context before the highlight. It is a Catholic place, Vion. Certainly the part that shows. There is a church in the center of town, a solemn stone thing, where everyone goes to save their souls. Adeline's mother and father kneel there twice a week, cross themselves, and say their blessings and speak of God. Adeline is 12 now, so she does too, but she prays the way her father turns loaves of bread upright, the way her mother licks her thumb to collect stray flakes of salt. Turn the page, Kindle. As a matter of habit, more automatic than faith. Yeah,
faith is an interesting thread through the novel as well.
Big time.
But the one thread that I was obsessed with was the thread of art throughout the entire thing.
Yes.
Both from her childhood, her discovering drawing, and that being a freedom for her as a young girl in the 1700s. With little to no rights as a growing woman, but the fact that her father was like, at least gave her that.
Yeah.
Even though he does end up being the one to be like, you know, you have to go marry this man.
Yeah.
But he still, you know, made sure she knew her letters, let her have drawing.
Didn't teach her to read, but
well, he tried.
She got some letters.
She figured that out.
Eventually. Yeah.
Other highlights. Heaven is a nice spot in the shade, a broad tree over my bones. That's why I always wanted to be buried underneath a tree. It's mostly because of this book.
But then the tree gets chopped down.
Because that's life.
I know.
By nature. I loved that it was nature that burned the tree down. Or that cut the tree down.
But even still, she still is expecting Luke to be the worst. And she says the words out loud, did you do this?
Yeah.
as he's there apologizing for something he didn't do and comforting her when he and she still is like, was this you?
Such a girl. Did you do it?
Yeah.
Other highlights. Stories are a way to preserve oneself, to be remembered, and to forget. Stories come in so many forms, in charcoal and in song, in paintings, poems, films, and books. Books, she has found, are a way to live 1,000 lives or to find strength in a very long one. I love how books and writing are talked about throughout the whole book, too. As she learns to read and finds just a thrill of learning languages and expanding her thought processes. It's so exciting. And it makes me want to be able to live 300 years because I feel the same way about knowledge. Like there's never enough time to keep learning. Funny how some people take an age to warm and others simply walk into every room as if it's home. I feel like that. Did you notice that they use the word palimpsest so many times to describe her life passage? V. Schwab wanted the chance to, like, I don't know, tell this story in a way that made sense to people in terms of like a draft of something, like an architectural draft or a draft of books. So palimpsest is when you edit something on top of something else and you leave the edits on one page and then remove it. But the more edits that you put, the more the palimpsest grows. Okay. And there's more changes around the original. That's like how she tried to describe the way Addie ages through this life, is like a constant set of new edits on top of the original. And so much so that you kind of lose what the original story actually was. I like that a lot.
There's an interesting question from
the
discussion questions at the end of the book that they provide that I think is a fun question. Oh, and skip the page. There we go. So Addie slips into the homes and even the clothes of people from all walks of life. Which abode did you like best? If Addie borrowed your house, what would she enjoy the most about the contents of your cupboards and your clothes?
That's cute.
Oh, that was a cute question.
I liked I think it was only 50 or 60 years into her new life, and she was still in France, if I remember. But she figured out a room that was like in an attic, kind of snuck away, and you had to like climb onto the roof to be able to get in, so it would like no one else would know about it for a while. I like when she would figure out those moments of safety for herself where she could kind of contain things for a while, but then Luke would come in and be like, what are you doing? Why are you comfortable? This and that was the one where she set up the whole night for their anniversary for the first time. That was the first time he didn't show up. And yet we learn later in the book that he actually was watching the entire time. That's why I love him. That's why he's my favorite character, because she underestimates his power, but underestimates how much he's interested in her and is so curious about a human turning into a god. And she doesn't see the power in that and the power that she has in her own story up until the end. So that's my favorite abode.
Do you have a favorite?
I feel like I think it was around the same time. I read it on high speed so I could get it done in time, but so I don't remember exactly where she was in life. But it was one where she was like sitting in the bedroom or something, like eating the chocolates, like in the robe. I'm like, she's just having a
queen,
good time.
Get it. That's when he comes for their first anniversary. And or not first anniversary, but one of their anniversaries
early on. And I think in that time too, because he like puts a hex of some sort over the servants and stuff of the home, and they like have a whole dinner together, but he sends them off at the end, the servants, with like champagne or something like that. And she's like, the owners of the home are gonna come back and be like upset that their staff are drunk. Like, why are you doing this to them? And he brings to the realization of her, he's like, anytime you steal or whatever, someone has to pay for that.
Who do you think's getting blamed?
But like, I thought I just liked the extravagance of the home that
Mhm.
she just was just like minding her own business, but then also like the realization of like you can't just take what you want
Nope.
because you want it or you need it. Like
There's
there
a
are
plus or minus every time.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love when Luke she's still in France. That part too. Sorry. Just rabbit trail from her still being in France at this point.
Yeah.
The fact that she admits that before he literally removes her from Paris,
She was going to stay?
she was going to be in France for as long as possible. Like, she
know.
had never even thought
Yeah.
of leaving France. And it's like, you have the whole world.
But she didn't know who you
And
were.
he just drops her in Venice and
I
is
know.
like, figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Learn a new language. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even the war. She
Mhm.
was like adamant to stay
Yeah.
during the First World War. She's
Mhm.
back in France. She's like, I'm going to do this, and almost dies, but she'll never die. And he has to step in and save her again
Yeah.
because she's so stubborn.
He also has to save her during World War II.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
When she's stuck in an internment camp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or German prison. But
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that's right. Because she was trying to do spy things, which I
Yes.
appreciated.
Yeah.
The first time reading it, I was
Mhm.
like, is she ever gonna, like, I don't know, help history in some way? Because that would be
Right.
nice.
Yeah.
And she does try,
Yeah.
but in the terms of her agreement, she can't really affect real
Mhm.
change because she's a ghost, basically.
But she can
Shift
pass
ideas.
things.
Yes. What were you gonna?
What was
Oh,
your
the
favorite
abode. I
Abode.
loved in New York. It's one of the first few chapters of her being in New York in 2014.
Yeah.
When she is in the actor's apartment. The guy.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one who was
And is secretly gay.
who comes
Yes.
out to her. Also a very queer positive book.
Very queer
Everybody is
positive.
bisexual.
Well, V.E. Schwab is bisexual.
Checks out.
We love her.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's one of my. That's
But
why
also,
I love the book.
no
so
one
much.
lives for 300 years and doesn't kiss a few girls. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why someone said on the internet at some point was like, all vampires are a little gay because there's no way you live for forever and don't
kiss a few girls.
try a little something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so, you never know.
Yeah, it was so interesting because she has the rooftop where she
Sam.
sees the artist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I like Kelly's Abode too. That was the one I was kind of tossing back and forth because I feel like I learned so much about Luke's powers, yes, but his stance on those powers too. The fact that he does tell her there is always ends a means to an end when you do take something. Like someone always is going to have to pay for that, whether it's you or someone else. Someone will always do that because that's the nature of humans and the nature of this world. But I loved how kind of flashy he was for the first time in that scene. Like he's changing his clothes a couple of times. He's showing her the power of how he can manipulate people. Oh, I also love when, I think it's New York, she in like the 1800s, she befriends someone in Central Park and they take her into the not secret society, but like the society house.
Yeah. I was tossing that one up in my head too.
Yeah, because she in that chapter is detailing out how many times she's already met this woman who's affluent and known, and she wants to be known by this woman to be able to get into the salons and get to be around artists. And she has tried this like 3 or 4 times to get to the right words to tell this woman the right things to get in the door. And then Luke shows up and just with the snap of his fingers just ruins all of it.
But I kind of love it because he's like, there are consequences.
Yeah.
For you doing this shit. Like, you don't get to just
do whatever you
free
want.
for all the time. Yeah. I do hate Henry though at one point because she goes to pay for something and it's after he knows about her curse and questions where she got the money.
Oh yeah.
And like starts to give her shit for stealing money. She's like, how else do you, like, I can't have a job, dude. Yeah. Like, where do you want me to get money from?
Yeah.
And he's just like, he gets so self-righteous about it. And it's
because he is self-righteous. I know. That's why I don't like Henry at all.
Yeah. And he's also from this incredibly affluent family and is so incredibly privileged.
Yeah.
But is like, poor starving artist. And like, really, my dude, you're fine.
I will say it's not laid out blatantly, but when they're describing that he was born with the what is it?
A hole in his heart.
A hole in his heart. It's a metaphorical hole. It's not. I think he's supposed to be a description of a manic depressive and what manic depression looks like in men of his age, and how it's not so easily describable and it's not so easily figured out. Like you feel like you are an alien amongst normal quote unquote people. And I did like that aspect of his story. I just think that the romance of it was forced and not really believable. I just didn't think someone like Addie would be that enthralled with someone other than the fact that he remembered her. Like, I think that's really the only reason that she was interested in him.
I think their friendship was cool. Beautiful. Especially the art scene. Yeah. When he uses her hand, or she uses his hands to paint and write her name. Yeah. And that was beautiful to me. That was the first time where I was like, okay, now I can like see why you would like him.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, and I think too, because he sees like the pain in her eyes when she tries to paint and it just disappears. And it's like, how can I make something come alive for you?
I like that.
Yeah. Which I think is sweet.
It is sweet. It kind of just defines their relationship as the only point that you came together was so the story could be written. And that can just be the only reason that the love exists, and that we just move on because that's perfect. Yeah. So now do you realize why I said, did V.E. Schwab write the book? We don't know. We don't know. I loved that aspect. Yeah. Between that,
I loved B reading the book. She's like, this is bullshit. Yeah. You can't end it that way.
Yeah. I also love that B was had her own part in the book too, with the art and researching it and making sure that part wove itself in the chapters. I thought that was so cool. It reminded me, Halsey, remember the rabbit book that I grew up with? There's this, I don't even remember what it's called, but it's this rabbit who travels around the world, but one of the books is he can travel around time, and each page where he's lost from his owner, he sends her a letter from a different time, and it's like an actual physical letter inside the book, so you can like open the envelope and take the letter
and they're all themed to wherever he is, and so every letter is different.
Like when he goes back to see the Indians, when America is being made by Indians, the letter is like this brown leather, and it has like hand-woven stitches to make the envelope sealed. And then you take it out and it's written in like charcoal handwriting, and he makes like cute little pictographs like Indians did back in the day, and to like describe his story of that time period. So this book has those tactile things of like the art being woven into the story, and it playing a much deeper role, and it makes it feel real. It makes it feel like this could actually exist. It doesn't, but in my imagination it does. What are your ratings, ladies?
I can't give it 5 stars.
Why? I'm just kidding.
Because I just needed a little more in the ending.
Like what?
I don't know. It just felt wrapped up so quickly. Like, especially for how long the book is. And how detailed and descriptive she is through the whole book.
Yeah.
The end just felt like, oh, then she just walks into the dark. Okay. Oh, we're done? Oh, okay.
I disagree with you on the detail, though.
Yeah.
There's so much about her past, like all of the centuries she's gone through, that we don't really get a lot of detail about. We just get these distinct chapters of stories that she tells Henry to like make her life make more sense. But there's so much like this. When you're with someone and they'll forget you if you walk away, right? Or go behind another door. So all the people that she's sleeping with, all 300 years, never go to the bathroom. What is she doing? Going in the stall with them? Like, that's not realistic.
Like, wait, don't pee.
Yeah. There are holes to this that don't make sense. And I want more details in that regard of like, okay, you go into a lot of detail about the limitations of her curse. So what are those limitations? Like,
she does get a little bit into that when it comes to Henry's friends.
Yes.
Because that does become a thing of like, when she's at their home.
Right.
And then they walk out and come back into the room and they're like,
yes.
Who is this person in my home?
And they're trying to take cues from other people of like, where did this person come from? Okay, I guess I'm the weird one.
But if you're sleeping with someone and you're like at their home by yourselves with them and they disappear, you have to just hope that they're drunk enough and they do this regularly enough that like they're not startled by the fact that there's a stranger in your living room.
I think it helped that she was, at least most of the stories we got was about her sleeping with men.
True.
But not always the most observant. And sometimes they're just okay with things that they probably shouldn't be.
Totally. But also, all the descriptions that she says is we had so much fun that he rolled over and fell asleep. And then I knew that he would wake up and not remember me.
Yeah.
But like her actor friend, she's not sleeping with that person because he's secretly gay, but he's in this huge apartment and they're together nights on end. Again, so is he just never going to the bathroom? Are you going into the bathroom with him so that he remembers you? Like,
I don't
it doesn't
know if
make
they
any
were
sense.
together nights on end though. Did she say that?
She says that they have like, they've had this sort of like decorum and friendship.
Okay.
All I'm saying is, I think there could be more detail, and that's why I was okay with just this closing of the door at the end.
Yeah.
But I understand you don't have to give it 5 stars. What do you think, Miss?
Wait, what did you give it though?
I gave it 4.
4.
Oh.
I would even say 4.8.
Wow.
I was going to say 4.8.
Wow.
Oh, look at us.
I really liked it. I also loved that throughout the years, Luke would take her to see people from real life, Beethoven, Frank Sinatra, things like that. Say like their successes are because I did this, like, and her fight with him about like they're such incredible geniuses in what they're doing. Why are you ending it?
Yeah.
Like, why are you taking it away from them before they're truly done?
Yeah.
But
genius has a cost.
Yeah.
So I would say 4.8. I will reread this because by nature, I'm not a reader. And I was telling Halsey, I was like, this is the most I've read. These are the most amount of books I've read in 10 years.
Wow.
Like, I just don't do it. And by nature, I'm a very slow reader.
Sure.
And so I wish I could have read it a lot slower just to like stay in it a little bit longer.
Yep.
I think that's why I'm a slow reader, is I don't want, if I'm enjoying the story, I don't want that.
Oh, I felt like I savored it, which was what was really special about like how I read it, was I felt like every page I was like in her world.
Yeah.
Invested.
Yeah. So
I wish you felt like that though.
Yeah. I wish I could have taken longer to read it, but
I get it. I will say a reread. It was a fantastic reread.
Yeah. And I did buy a Kindle version of it too. So I will be able to go back and read it.
Nice. Perfect. Do you feel like it lived up to my hype?
Oh yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm always honored when a book I recommend actually lives up to what my expectations of it were.
What's your rating of it?
This is one of my only 5-star books that I've ever rated. Yeah. Wow. It's one of my favorites.
I'm going 4.9.
Oh,
she went keep up. It at a 4.8.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, I think it has everything I could desire about a book. The art, history, different countries, different experiences, a little bit of magic or a lot of bit of magic, depending on the chapter you're on. Love, a semi open-ended ending, like not a perfect bow ending. I hate a perfect bow ending. And a little bit of death. Yeah, it was realistic in the most magical of ways. And I felt the same way. Like, I wanted to savor every page the first time I read it because it was so good and I was blown away that it was so good. And I was like, it felt like this book came out of nowhere and that this author came out of nowhere. And I was excited and honored to have like found it. Yeah. With millions of other people. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's being adapted into a movie, which would be really exciting. A lot of her projects are.
So what Kelly and I talked about yesterday was like, I don't think I would want this to be a movie.
Really?
I would want it to be a short series.
Okay,
I think
can see that.
Like a 6-episode miniseries would be perfect for this book because you need the time.
Yes. Well, you want the time.
And you want the time.
They could
go. you want to be able to focus on the different decades or whatever of her life, where she's back in France for X amount of years, and then she goes to New Orleans, and then and then also get the same respect, also shorter because it wasn't as long of a time, but for Henry, for his lead up to.
Yeah. And we barely got to see her in the 20th century. Yeah. Have you realized that? You barely see her in the, like, we don't get to hear about more of, like, her life in the 50s and 60s, like all of those seasons. We only get that era of story in like 2 chapters.
True. She talks about it, right, in conversations with Henry to help describe it, or when she's having conversations in her head, like she's just having monologues in her head. But I agree with that's why I said, I'm like, I could have had 10 times the amount of detail. This book could have been double the size and I would have been happy, because I'm so interested in fantasy writers and how they weave whole new versions of reality. And Addie's reality is just so interesting historically that I would want to have seen what her situation would have looked like in the suffragette era, the women's rights era, like 70s, 80s. That would have been so cool. But you kind of just flippantly hear about movies, like when movies went from black and white to color. I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. But like, what was it like to be a woman in the 60s? Like, where were you at?
Yeah. Because, we only get a little bit of her life in the 50s with Luke.
Yeah.
And in New Orleans.
Yeah.
I think in the 80s is when they were there, but still.
Yeah. Wow. That's our highest rating so far.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
I'm trying, what did I feel like I rated something high.
You've rated things high, but not that high.
Not that high.
Well, next June, V.E. Schwab has a new book coming out.
Really? Is there more information?
It's called Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil.
Just got a little goosebumps.
And this is all we know about it.
Okay.
3 young women, their bodies planted in the same soil and their stories tangling like roots. One grows high and one grows deep and one grows wild. All of them grow teeth.
Hutch just came around the corner and he was like, what?
Huh?
Teeth?
Crazy.
Wait, I'm so intrigued.
Yeah, it releases June 10th of 2025.
We'll be there.
Wow.
Mark your calendar.
Happy Pride.
Shall we pick our October book?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Oh, shoot. I have to
pull up my choices.
It just hit 0. You're good.
So I have a few on the spinner already.
Tell us.
Do we want to, let me know if we want to keep them or remove them.
Okay.
The Familiar.
Yes.
Keep. Aridane? Ariadne.
Don't know it? Take it off.
What is that?
I don't even remember what that is.
I think it was one of yours.
It was one of mine.
Aridine?
Ariadne.
Oh.
Ariadne. It's the Greek mythology one.
Oh.
Yeah, you can remove that.
Okay.
Over it.
The Lost Bookshop. I think that's currently
mine, and I'm keeping it in.
And Good Material.
You can remove that guy.
Okay.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm adding in The Housemaid by Frida McFadden.
That book is everywhere right now.
It's because the 3rd one just came out in June.
Oh, there's multiple.
It's only a 3-book series, and they're very short. And it's on Kindle Unlimited.
Ooh, nice.
I will pull up the description. Here we go. Welcome to the family, Nina Winchester says as I shake her elegant manicured hand. I smile politely, gazing around the marble hallway. Working here is my last chance to start fresh. I can pretend to be whoever I like, but soon I'll learn that the Winchesters' secrets are far more dangerous than my own. Every day, I clean the Winchesters' beautiful house top to bottom, I collect their daughter from school, and I cook a delicious meal for the whole family before heading up to eat alone in my tiny room on the top floor. I try to ignore how Nina makes a mess just to watch me clean it up, how she tells strange lies about her own daughter, and how her husband Andrew seems more broken every day. But as I look into Andrew's handsome brown eyes so full of pain, it's hard not to imagine what it would be like to live Nina's life. The walk-in closet, the fancy car, the perfect husband. I only try on one of Nina's pristine white dresses once, just to see what it's like, but she soon finds out, and by the time I realize my attic bedroom door only locks from the outside, it's far too late. But I reassure
Like my
myself the
turbo.
Winchesters don't know who I really am. They don't know what I'm capable of.
Ooh, yucky. Wait, you said you had 2.
Oh, sorry. The other is
And
the
the
Lost
Lost
Bookstore.
Bookshop.
The Lost Bookshop.
I thought you
which
meant you had 2 new ones.
No, sorry. Just that one and the Lost Bookshop.
Okay. The one that I want to add is Lady Macbeth by Ava Reed, because Kelly and I were scrolling the other night and I saw this on Instagram because it's spoopy.
Yeah.
And this is our October book.
Yeah.
The lady knows the stories, how her eyes induce madness in men. The lady knows she will be wed to the Scottish brute who does not leave his warrior ways behind when he comes to the marriage bed. The lady knows his hostile, suspicious court will be a game of strategy requiring all her wiles and hidden witchcraft to survive. But the lady does not know her husband has occult secrets of his own. She does not know that the prophecy girds him like armor. She does not know that her magic is greater and more dangerous and that it will threaten the order of the world. She does not know this yet, but she will.
Scary.
Spooky.
Yeah, it's supposed to be villainous, thriller, and a little bit of spoopy.
All of Frida McFadden's books are very twisty-turny, thrillery, kind of murder mystery.
The one that you read?
Yeah.
The one that, okay, cool.
I've been reading a lot of her books recently.
Cool.
Did you have a second one?
No, just that one.
Okay.
Spin the wheel.
Did you have any?
I did, but I can keep them.
No, I would like to hear them.
It doesn't. I just found them
Okay.
like really fast, so I
Okay.
don't. And I've just seen them all over TikTok, and that's why I picked them.
What are the titles, though?
Then She Was Gone.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that. I've heard
I've
good
seen
things.
that cover.
Do you want me to read what it's about?
Do it, girl.
Ellie Mack was the perfect daughter. She was 15, the youngest of 3. Beloved by her parents, friends, and teachers, and half of a teenage golden couple, Ellie was one day away from an idyllic post-exam summer vacation, and then her whole life ahead of her changed, and then she was gone. Now her mother, Laurel Mack, is trying to put her life back together. It's been 10 years since her daughter disappeared, 7 years since her marriage ended, and only months since the last clue in Ellie's case was unearthed. When she meets an unexpectedly charming man in a cafe, no one is more surprised than Laurel at how quick their flirtation develops into something deeper. Before she knows it, she's meeting Floyd's daughter, and his youngest, Poppy, takes Laurel's breath away, because looking at Poppy is like looking at Ellie.
Ooh.
And now the unanswered questions she tried so hard to put to rest began to haunt Laurel now. Where did Ellie go? Did she really run away from home, as the police have long suspected, or was there a more sinister reason for her disappearance? Who is Floyd really, and why does his daughter remind Laurel so viscerally of her own missing daughter?
Ooh, I like it.
I like it. Put it in.
True crime for fall season, I'm into it.
But not true.
Yeah. Fiction true.
Yeah.
Fiction crime.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll just keep. No, we have 5, so I feel like that's good.
That's good.
Okay, we'll spin.
Spin that wheel.
Can't hear it.
Click, 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 click.
Oh.
What are we reading?
The Housemaid.
Hey!
How
There it
exciting.
is.
We're very on trend now.
Yeah.
The Housemaid. What was the author's name again? I'm sorry.
Frida McFadden.
Frida McFadden. Is she
I think she's
Irish?
American.
Bummer. Just kidding.
Irish American, maybe. Yeah, I've read a bunch of her books recently. They're very twisty and dark and fun.
She's from Boston.
Boston.
We love a
She's got fun endings, and they're very short. It's a very short book.
Yeah, every time I've seen it, it's like maybe
Yeah.
this big.
Yeah.
Just
So
like
exciting.
a couple hundred. Thanks, guys. What a good book club.
Yeah.
Every time I say that, I think of the Swedish Chef. That's who.
Up,
and
and
that's
there goes
the
the
end.
light. And that's the end of podcast
That's the end.
weekend.
The Govey lights have given up again. It's time to pack it up.
It scares me.
I know,
I'm like-
because it pops off towards her every time.
Pack it in. Let
Okay.
this begin.
Hey, sister by blood
Halsey.
and sister by contract.
Kelly.
I'm your host, Bailey. You've been listening to Blood and Contracts. Please rate and review, comment below, subscribe, all the things. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Love you so much.